Good morning, multipliers!
Good morning.
Good morning, Judah. You know, Judah, you are someone who maybe doesn't get as many of pop culture references. I think you can admit that.
Yes, sadly.
So this list will probably get you more than others, but today we're talking about some of the top misquotes in movies. Things that you've heard that you think you know. That you think you maybe quote them all the time, but you're wrong.
Wrong.
So without further ado, Judah, let's jump in the list and get down to business. What are the things that we're saying wrong that we need to fix because we don't want to sound silly when we go back and watch it? Right now, these are ones we've discovered here. So let's start off with number one, Judah.
Okay.
Apollo 13. You know what that movie's about?
The boxer?
What?
Apollo!
Apollo 13. You're thinking of Apollo Creed, who's and Rocky Balboa, which is a fictional character. No, it's about the Apollo missions that when they went into the moon.
Yeah. Yes, I knew that.
So, what's the famous
That was my
thing?
next guess.
What's the famous thing? Houston, we have a problem. That is not the line, though. Everybody quotes that line. They say, Houston, we have a problem. There's an issue. That's not what he says. He says, Houston, we had a problem. We've had a problem is the actual quote there. Houston, it's Houston, we've had a problem. It is not Houston, we have a problem. Total misquote all the time.
We've had a problem.
It is not Houston, we have a problem. Nope. Now, one of the most iconic lines in cinema, we hear it, everybody knows when you're walking by the register and you can get on that little phone, you want to be like, Luke, I am your father. Everybody wants to hear it. Wrong! That's not the right word. He doesn't say, Luke, I am your father. He says, no, I am your father. That's his line. He's talking to Luke basically, and he says, well, it is, but it's not the same thing. It's not, he does not say, Luke, I am your father. It's one of the most misquoted lines in cinematic history.
That's interesting.
He doesn't say that. Now, another Star Wars one is that we always hear, may the Force be with you, from Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he also does not say that in the first movie. He actually doesn't say anything like it. Later on in the movie, he says to Luke, he says, remember, the Force will be with you always. That's the quote. He never says, may the Force be with you in the first movie.
Do they say it in the other one?
They say it from there on, but it was done before the point that it is always thrown back to this movie, to Obi-Wan Kenobi in the first movie saying it, and it wasn't referenced.
Interesting.
Yep, and even the line that's actually done is later said by Han Solo. So, total misquote. Don't worry, that's the last Star Wars one. Not going to hit you guys with too much of that.
Star Wars, got my shirt on.
She's rocking her see-through.
Didn't even try to do that.
I'm rocking my Captain America, you know. Now, this one, have you ever seen Dirty Harry? Probably not. Have you ever heard of Dirty Harry?
No.
Very famous cop movie. If you haven't heard of it, you know he's the guy. If you say, "Do you feel lucky, punk?" That is the iconic line from Dirty Harry. He walked around with this big 44 Magnum, but the actual line was very long. He said, you're thinking right now, did he fire 6 shots or 5? Well, I'll tell you the truth. It's all in the excitement. I kind of lost track myself. But being as this is a 44 Magnum and the most powerful handgun in the world, it would blow your head clean off. Sorry, And he says, you've got to ask yourself one question. Do you feel lucky? Well, do you, punk? That's the line. That's huge.
Do I feel lucky?
Do I feel lucky?
Do you, punk?
So, it is not, do you feel lucky? I know that was a long line, but that's the whole thing, the scene.
I just read that one.
Well, but it's the whole setting, the whole stance of what he was talking about. It was literally, it was not, that line is repeated all the time. If you watch in movies, shows, it's a crazy popular line, pop culture. Now you know. Now I know. That was from that. But that is one of the most famous lines. Now another one, Judah, is that Captain Kirk says, "Beam me up, Scotty." In Star Trek. In Star Trek, yep. Because I wouldn't know who that is. Kirk says Kirk to Enterprise, beam us up, Scotty. That is the line. That is the iconic line. Now, obviously, from there it became a line that was said in like the newer films and stuff. But from the original, where it was at in the series and everything, it was not actually said. So many things. Now here's another one. We have 10 of these. We're almost done, guys. So this one is popular. This one's a quote. It's that from the Wizard of Oz. Now you've probably never seen the Wizard of Oz either.
I have actually seen that one.
It did
like once.
Well, the line is, you know, Toto, it's either Toto, I've got the feeling we're not in Kansas anymore, or Toto, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. That's one I've always heard, is I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. But the actual line is, Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore, is the actual line. Nobody says that. Once again, an improper use. Now you can go into this next one, Judah.
Okay, so in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, this is the 1937 version. A popular quote is, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?"
Daniel, of course.
And then the actual quote is, "Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?"
So she literally never says, "Mirror, mirror on the wall." That's like one of the really famous ones too. It's like that you wouldn't even... I mean, that's like an incredibly quoted movie.
Oh, here's another one. In
This is
Tarzan in 1932, "Me Tarzan, you Jane" is actually...
We'll act it out together. We'll do the lines for you guys. Ready?
Okay.
You do it. You're starting.
Jane.
Jane. Jane.
And you?
Tarzan. Tarzan. I lost my spot.
Tarzan.
Where's mine?
Jane.
Jane. Tarzan. Jane. Tarzan. There's no... I've heard that too in lots of stuff. It's,
oh yeah.
Me Tarzan, you Jane. That's not happened. I mean, this is really interesting to see all these crazy misquotes. This is another big one.
Dracula.
I want to suck your blood.
Nothing. The line was never uttered.
Never said. Like, complete fabrication. I mean, that's like
crazy.
Incredibly. Now this is our last one. This is another big old movie one. Another crazy one. And you guys tell me what movie it's from. He's alive! He's alive! What's that from, Judah?
Well,
you've read it. So.
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein, but he actually says it's alive. He does not claim it's a man. Once again, a massive miss. It's interesting to see this stuff. I think it's really cool to see how we kind of fill the gaps in, and like it'd be interesting to see when this got started to get perpetuated. You know, like I've always wondered like where words start. How does a word come into being? Like bay. Where does that come from? Like
not like the bay by the water.
No, like bay, like you're my bay. You know, like that stuff. Or like the feels. Like all these weird words that begin to spread through pop culture. Where do they start? Is there like a guy in a room who's like sitting there all day? He's just like saying words and like he's like feel. Okay,
it's kind of like this one. So like sometimes I'll be like, oh, that's smarts, and Dan's like, I've never heard that.
But I say other words. Comment down below, solve this argument. Have you ever heard? What's one that I say that you always like? There's several I do, and then she was like, what?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I say, oh, that's smart. It's like, oh,
have you ever heard that before? I've never heard that saying. Settle it for us in the comments down below. Do a poll, whatever. I don't know, but please help us. But yeah, so many misquotes. I'd be interested to know what you think between the two, but that solves our list for the day, Judah. Now you're more educated, so when you hear your friends who are they're like, Luke on your father, like, no, no, sir. No, 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 no. Shh. No. No.
Are your hands clean?
You know, probably. All right, on to the focus. Let's go. Oh, let's focus in, Judah. It's a wonderful day to be serving the Lord. Wonderful day to be here, Judah. And what are we talking about today?
I know we're in Romans.
Chapter what? Chapter
10.
10? We're going to be at verse 14 through verse 15.
Just 14 and 15?
Yep.
Okay, I can read that if you'd like.
Go for it, baby.
How then will they call on him in whom they have not believed? And how are they to believe in him of whom they have never heard? And how are they to hear without someone preaching? And how are they to preach unless they are sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who preach the good news. So,
what's it saying there first off, Judy? Give me the rundown on it.
Well, it's basically saying, like, if we as Christians don't go and tell the world about Christ, who's going to tell them? You know, the unsaved not going to tell them. And if we don't go, and if we're not sent, or if we don't send people to do it, you know, same thing, kind of like I already said.
I think it's like laying out a structure, basically. It's like So Paul is basically saying the obvious in a lot of ways, but something that we don't think about enough. It's that, so churches, we look at churches and say it's four walls. Here I am, I'm in my home is four walls. I walk in here and I'm home. But in the church, it's not contained by four walls. Yes, our churches are buildings, but those aren't churches. Those are places we go to gather as the church. But you know, and so we get stuck within these confines, these rules and regulations, these sections of who we are. And the issue is that we find ourselves trapped in there. And Paul is saying to these people, he says, how are they to call on him if they've never believed? He goes to the most rudimentary basic. He's like, how are they to believe in this guy? How are they going to say I'm a Christian if they don't even know who he is? Mm-hmm. And he says, how are they to believe in whom they've never heard? So he's saying, okay, so we already understand that they can't come to know Christ. They can't become a Christian if they don't know who God is first. And you see that in our world today, is that there's so much misinformation about what the Bible says. Mm-hmm. People don't know. They take just like with this thing we're doing today, it's a perfect analogy. We've taken what pop culture has said to be it. When actually you go back and watch the movie, it doesn't say, Luke, I'm your father. It says, no, I am your father. Mm-hmm. You know, it doesn't. There's so many of these things where we fill the gaps and we assume what everybody else has said, and we perpetuate that.
And there's a lot of verses in the Bible that say one thing if you just read the verse, but then you go back and look at the context, you see, oh, it's saying something completely different.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? 100%. I think that's what it's saying here. You know, so Paul's saying, you know, how are they to believe in him? They don't understand, they don't know. And how are they to understand and know if we aren't telling them? And then he says, and how are they not to hear without someone preaching? So if we're not out there not telling them, actively preaching, then they're not going to know. And then he says, and how are they to be sent if they're not sent? If we're not sending the people out to preach, how are they to preach unless they're sent? So we're not being people who have a core focus on evangelism, on pushing out to get people, to tell people about Christ. If we're an inward organization, then we stall, we don't go out. We're failing to do something critical that is the church. It's like if you were to get a sum of money, and I'm going to give you, Judah, I'm going to say, here's $100,000. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
We could use that.
We could do some, multimedia would be big. It'd be awesome. But if we were to give you $100,000, but you didn't do anything else with that money, you took it and you put it under your mattress and you never touched it, what's going to happen to that money?
I mean, eventually it would depreciate like the value.
Well, so there's the depreciation as money becomes less and less and less, because money inflates, it becomes worth less money. Right. But on top of that, you never use it, it never grows. And so if you were to take that money and invest it in something, even just to take and put $100,000 in the stock market, leave it there for 20 years, you're going to have a lot more money, even with the dips and the flows of the stock market. Just staying in it, you're going to make it through okay. That's the thing, guys. It's like the church. It's that if we sit back and we just stick everything we got on the mattress and say it's enough for us, it only declines. And that's what we've done as the American church. We've just stuck it ourselves in the mattress and say, we've got enough, we're okay, we don't need anything else, but we need so much more. And we see that our country is in this decline because we have deflated and Satan has filled the void. How are they to know unless we're sending them?
Yeah.
It's pivotal. How are they to know unless we're sending people out, unless we're actively looking to inspire, disciple, bring people up to be followers of Christ, to be people on fire for Christ and telling others about the good news? There is no hope for us without it. That's the beauty of being a Christian. That's the beauty of this thing, of the church, is it's not this inward thing. It's not a kiddie pool, it's a river. You know, a kiddie pool, it's the water that's there, and you get in there, and if the kid's dirty, it gets nasty and gross, and it gets worse, and stagnant before you want it. You don't want to touch that water. A river is a flowing. It's not stuck. It's not stagnant. It's
ever-changing.
Flowing. Yeah. And a river affects what's around it. It degrades the sides of it. It makes itself. It continues to grow because it's alive. You know what I mean? It's an active body. That's what we have to be. An active body of water, not a body at rest.
Good analogy.
Absolutely. So, well, thank you. I appreciate it. But the guys, that's the challenge. It's like, am I an inward person or am I an outward person? You know, am I somebody who is stuck and willing to just say, hey, I'm fine with a stagnant kiddie pool water? Or do I want to be in the river, which, you know, this flowing, beautiful water going through? Do I want to be a live body or a stagnant body? Where are you at with it, basically? What's your focus as a church, as a person, as a man of Christ, a woman of Christ, as anything? What is your focus following God? So, well, I think that's all we got for today. You know, Judah, it's been fun. Guys, it's been fun. Hopefully you learned a little bit about, you know, just not doing your homework about your movie quotes, you know. And you also found a little bit more about maybe just spurred you onward to go out and do something awesome. So, Judah, I think we're good.
Yep, we are.
Alrighty, well guys, I appreciate so much. I appreciate you guys watching this video. I want to give a shout out to some of our awesome commenters. You guys who watch our videos every day, you guys are so awesome. We know who you are. We try to answer your comments when we can. You know, we got like Josiah and Armando and Victor, yeah, and all these guys, you guys, I mean, seriously, you guys are awesome. We love you guys watching our videos so much, and like, every comment means the world to us. You guys are so cool. We appreciate it. Love hearing from you guys. Just shout out to you guys who have been commenting lately. And guys, thank you so much for being a blessing to us, and hopefully we're a blessing to you. And as always, I'm Dan.
And I'm Judah.
God bless.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.